know something I've noticed? Every time I bring up Lakers rookie Dalton Connect, people get stuck on his height. The graphic I made for him shows the official draft combine number. 6 feet 6¼ inches barefoot. That's not the same as his college listing of 6 feet 8 inches, and it makes people question if he was overhyped back then. Some fans swear he looks taller, others think he's undersized. Then you look at the practice footage and photos from the Lakers facility. He looks stronger now, maybe heavier, and possibly someone who could even slide into the power forward spot. The debate really comes down to whether the combine numbers still match what he looks like today. We don't have an official Lakers listing yet, but that's supposed to drop at training camp. And yes, if you missed it, he's expected to be ready when camp opens. This comes from Dan Woik of The Athletic, and it's actually a big deal because Dalton Connect hasn't been cleared for full contact in months. We're talking all the way back to late February when he went down with that left knee hyperextension. Since then, the Lakers have been overly cautious. Didn't let him touch Summer League, sat him out nearly 3 months, which is a long time to stay off the court. That kind of layoff can change a body, and in his case, maybe even add some weight. And no, not bad weight. I'm not talking about the out-of-shape kind people used to joke about with Luka Doncic before his transformation. I mean the good kind, muscle. Connect was already listed around 220 pounds. So if he's heavier now, it might actually make him tougher to guard. If Connect bulks up closer to 230 pounds, especially if he measures more like 6 feet 7 inches or even 6 feet 8 inches, then he could realistically slide into that power forward role. With his current skill set, he's not exactly built to be a reliable perimeter spacer anyway. He fits better as a dunker spot threat or baseline cutter, kind of like Jared Vanderbilt. And sure, Vanderbilt gets forced into taking threes in this offense, but that's never been his strength. Connect is the same. He's not a Hachimura or an Austin Reeves type who can live on the wing and consistently space the floor. His value comes from playing more physically, cutting, crashing, and finishing near the rim. That's exactly the role Vanderbilt plays, and honestly, it's the one Connect should embrace too. If I were him, I'd be using this downtime to add size and strength, aiming for that 230-pound range instead of staying in the 215 to 220 window. More of a tweener, less of a spot-up guy. At this point, calling someone a true power forward doesn't even make sense in today's NBA. That position has basically disappeared. It's more of a tweener role that wings can sometimes fill and sometimes can't, depending on the matchup. For the Lakers, though, I'd argue that's still the most natural spot for Dalton Connect. If he really gets up to 230 pounds and measures closer to a legit 6 feet 8 inches, that changes everything. People love to point to photo comparisons, and one that keeps coming up is Luka Doncic at his new contract press conference earlier this August, where he stood next to DeAndre Ayton and Rui Hachimura. Even wearing loafers, Luka looked every bit of Rui's official 6 feet 8 inches listing barefoot. If Connect ends up showing the same kind of legit height, it's a huge bump for his case to crack the Lakers' rotation. It's not like Connect is going to walk in and steal someone's rotation spot, but more realistically he could slide in if injuries happen or if a wing ahead of him underperforms. Guys like Jared Vanderbilt or Jake LaRavia, for example. That's where his size really matters. If he's really around 230 pounds with a true 6 feet 8 inches frame and that 7-foot wingspan, then he becomes a legit option at the 4. He's not polished enough offensively to consistently fill a perimeter role at the 3, but at power forward he checks boxes: size, rebounding, and defensive versatility. And honestly, his rebounding doesn't get talked about enough. It's one of his most underrated strengths, in my opinion. If the Lakers just plant him in the corner or the dunker spot, he could become a far more effective baseline crasher and offensive weapon than people expect. Connect could actually be one of the better rebounders on this Lakers team. Back in college, especially in his final season, he was grabbing nearly 2 offensive boards per game in just 27.5 minutes. That's impressive for a wing. He's not the biggest guy on the floor, but he still finds ways to crash the glass and keep possessions alive. And once he gets it, his athleticism makes him dangerous. He can throw down a putback dunk or go right back up quickly with a second jump. Rebounding is just natural for him. We always hype up Jared Vanderbilt for that skill, because it's rare to have a wing who rebounds like a big. But Connect brings some of that same energy, and honestly, it might end up making him more valuable than people expect, especially if the Lakers keep struggling to rebound as a team. As a wing, averaging nearly 11 rebounds per 36 minutes is rare, and while Connect might not hit that exact mark, he's shown flashes of having that kind of ability. In college, he proved he could rebound on both ends, playing bigger than his size suggests, or maybe just growing into that role. That outlook carries into his NBA career. Ideally, sure, I'd like to see him become more of a three-point shooting threat down the line, but right now his best defensive role is closer to the rim in the dunker spot where he can use his strengths. His advantages are clear: athleticism, rebounding, and just having that relentless go-get-the-ball energy. Connect absolutely brings that. And yes, the three-point shooting needs work. He's not up to NBA speed yet in terms of quick release or finding the right spots, but that's secondary to what he already does well. Offensively, I still think the dunker spot is the best role for Connect, and if the Lakers eventually need to throw him into the rotation, that's where he fits best. But honestly, the weight gain and legit height, if he's closer to 6 feet 8 inches instead of 6 feet 6 inches, would probably help him more on defense than offense. Rebounding is part of it, sure, but it's also about who he can match up with. At 6 feet 6 inches and 215 to 220, he's stuck guarding mostly 1s through 3s, with some 4s in certain matchups. But at 6 feet 8 inches and 230 to 235, now you're talking about someone who can truly defend 1 through 4. And based on what he showed in college, he's got the defensive instincts to do it. To me, that changes the conversation completely. He wouldn't just be fighting for scraps in the rotation. He'd actually be a reliable defender against bigger NBA wings and even some small ball 4s. One night you could have Connect guarding Jason Tatum, and the next he could be chasing Tyrese Maxey around. I honestly think he's capable of that, especially if he gets his weight up to the 230 range we've been talking about while still keeping his athleticism, which I don't doubt. And with Connect, yes, I'm actually rooting for both a weight increase and maybe even a height adjustment. Normally, I don't care about those official numbers and usually think they're overblown, but in his case, they matter. They could actually boost his short-term outlook this season. While he works on expanding his offensive game, mainly becoming a reliable three-point shooter, a stronger frame would let him hold his ground better on both ends. That keeps him closer to the rim, not stuck on the perimeter trying to fake it as a floor spacer. To me, that's how he helps himself and the Lakers right now. But with all that being said, what do you guys think? What's the ideal height and weight for Dalton Connect? Should he aim to bulk up to 230 before training camp and the start of the season? And how much would a difference of being 6 foot 6 1/2 versus a true 6 feet 8 inches really matter for him in his rookie year? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. That's gonna wrap this one up. If you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate it if you dropped a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future uploads. As always, thanks for watching and have a great day or night.